Morning, all saints. As we enter a new liturgical year this Advent season, we are also concluding a calendar year. And so we are, for the next few weeks, going to send some updates in video form as to how the past year of ministry at All Saints has gone. Today, I get to talk with you about gospel conversations. If you've attended one of our gospel conversation events, you know that these are just evenings centered around questions that we think would be of import and relevance to our neighbors, specifically our neighbors who find themselves estranged either from Jesus or the church. One such conversation we had this past year was with Dan and Becky Allender. Dan's a really well-known psychologist who's a Christian. He wrote a book with his wife, Becky, on marriage, having a healthy marriage. And we encourage you, and not only you, but your friends and neighbors who might find this of interest. Either they have very healthy marriages and want to make them healthier, or perhaps not so healthy marriages and want to explore how they could love one another the way Jesus loved the church. Seeing the sanctuary full of folks asking that question in a context of safety and community really filled my heart with a lot of joy and gratitude. We also had Chris Watkin come. Chris is a great British theologian, lives in Australia at the moment, but he talked with us about how we could use some of the tools St. Augustine used as he looked at the fall of the Roman Empire. He said perhaps that could be of relevance, St. Augustine's kind of cultural exegesis for how we look at modern secular West. We also had Ross Douthat come. Ross gave kind of a heady philosophic talk about why we need religion. He talked about not only the sort of objective truth of religion, that is just sort of a belief in the transcendence, but also the experiential need that we are meaning-seeking beings, we're beauty-seeking beings, we're justice-seeking beings, and that meaning, justice, beauty, truth, goodness, all of these things rely upon and indeed are contingent upon transcendence, religion. He ended his talk almost with an evangelistic Billy Graham type appeal that if Jesus rose from the dead, it's not only kind of objectively true the way it's true George Washington was the first president, but it experientially matters, and that our world only makes sense if there is a God. And the good news of the Bible, of course, is that not only is there a God, but in the face of Jesus, this meek, lowly of heart, good one, we can see the face of God. After Ross's talk, I was getting ready to take him back to the hotel. Most of the folks who attended the event had scattered and left the sanctuary, but one lady came up and she began to talk to Ross and myself. She said, I don't necessarily believe everything you just said. She described herself as kind of agnostic. She said, but I just want to say, after she asked a few questions of Ross and they engaged, she said, I just want to say I really appreciate that a church would host a conversation like this. She said, I'm not ready to commit to faith, any particular religion, certainly not this church. But tonight has given me a lot to think about, and I really appreciate the opportunity to think about that and engage with you, Ross, and you, Dustin. That conversation is one of many that I've been able to have over the past year as I talk with folks who are maybe on the periphery, maybe hostile to the church and to Jesus, but they have found these gospel conversations to be kind of a pathway to re-engaging their faith and their understanding of Jesus. I just want to highlight, that was this past year. I'm very thankful for you all making all of these gospel conversations possible. We have a gospel conversation coming up in this new year in February. Sam Storms, who has written a wonderful book on exploring the spiritual gifts, will be talking on this topic. It's a 2-day conference, and then Sam will preach on that Sunday. If you're interested in learning how to grow in the use and practice of the spiritual gifts, this is going to be a great gospel conversation centered around this theme. There are other gospel conversations I could have named and perhaps should have named. Jessica Hooten Wilson, Father John Baer, who came and gave talks, and there are many in this new year that we'll be highlighting for you as the year progresses. But I just want to close by thanking you. The 18 cents of every dollar that comes in All Saints is used for outreach. We classify outreach in two different ways. One is benevolence, helping folks in our community who are unemployed or underemployed, also giving money to our outreach partners like the Bridge, Human Impact, the Anglican Mission in America. But we also use this outreach money for the purpose of evangelization. I always think when I think of gospel conversations about John chapter 1, you may remember Jesus comes across Philip. He tells Philip, follow me. Philip does for about one verse before he runs into Nathanael. He shares the good news that he has found the Messiah with Nathanael, and Nathanael responds with, can anything good come out of Nazareth? And Philip responds not with a perfect disquisition on the nature of Jesus or divinity. He simply says, come and see. Gospel conversations are one way in which we hope to equip you to be like Philip, that you can say to your neighbor, you don't have all the answers, certainly neither does my priest, I can tell you that, but you can come and see. We're trying to create environments where our friends and neighbors can encounter our Lord Jesus Christ, as Nathanael did. And Jesus responds to Nathanael, I saw you sitting under the fig tree, and Nathanael believes. I named one story with that woman who was agnostic who came and talked to Ross. There are lots of others I could give where folks like Nathanael have question, doubt, and these gospel conversations have been one mean in which they are able to have an encounter with Jesus. So with that, brothers and sisters, we're going to send you more updates in the coming weeks on the past year of ministry. I want to thank you again for your tithe, your financial support, your volunteer help. So many folks serve as greeters and so forth at these events. Thank you for making the past year of ministry at All Saints possible. Go in peace.